Get out. You worthless wife who can't even do household chores.
I sat on the floor, berated and belittled. My mother-in-law glared at me.
I've got Mauricio and my mom. We don't need you. You always look so miserable. You're just a parasite.
My sister-in-law, who never lifts a finger around the house, said this with a tone of utter disdain. Wait a minute, Mauricio. Your mom and sister are being too harsh. Before I could finish, even my husband. Mauricio looked down on me.
My mom's sister, right? I don't need a wife who can't handle housework while working. Besides, but I got a young part-time girl who's much better, but you two other ass, pack your bags and leave.
Stunned by Mauricio's words, all three began to berate me, calling me a failure of a wife. I clenched my fists, looking down. After exploiting me all the time, how dare they? Just you wait. I'll make sure you all get what's coming to you. I looked at the three of them and said, without changing my expression, fine, I'll leave. The downfall of the family that's been dumping everything on me begins now. My name is Eleanor. I'm 32 and a working housewife. Most women work after marriage these days, and I've continued to work at the company I joined after graduating college because I love my job. One morning as I was busy getting ready for work, Mauricio spoke up.
Hey, Anna, can you handle this? App season's coming up.
He handed me a pile of receipts and invoices. Again, you should handle your own shop's accounting. Mauricio looked away.
You know, I'm bad at that stuff. So please.
I married Mauricio 5 years ago. Mauricio used to work as a clerk at a restaurant that I occasionally stopped by. After several dates, we decided to get married. Now, Mauricio runs his dream cafe, but he leaves all the tedious tasks like procurement and accounting to me.
Eleanor, I want Chinese food tonight.
All right, can you prepare the ingredients?
No way. You can do it when you get back. Also, Vivian and the kids are coming this weekend.
Fine. I replied reluctantly and left the house.
But when we got married, I wanted to live just with Mauricio, but he insisted that we live with his mother because he was worried about her living alone.
So we moved to his spacious family home. My mother-in-law is terrible at housekeeping, and the place was a mess when we moved in. She lives on a pension and spends most of it on eating out because she doesn't want to cook. Mauricio always says housework is a woman's job, so even though I work, I'm stuck doing all the chores for the whole family. On top of that, my sister-in-law Vivian, who's moved out since getting married, often comes back home with her kids. When she's here, the workload increases. This morning, when I heard she's coming back this weekend, I thought, oh, not again. And then the dreaded weekend arrives. I'd love to relax on my weekends off from work, but instead, I have to entertain Vivian's kids and prepare meals. While I'm running around, Vivian drops a bombshell on me. Eleanor, by the way, I'm getting divorced and moving back here with the kids next month. Just so you know. What? Are you serious? Not a problem with that. No, no. That must be tough for you. When are you moving back? As soon as I can. My sister-in-law is coming home with the kids. I'm initially taken aback, but then reconsidered. Evian used to be a housewife, so she'll probably help around the house. That should lighten my load a bit, though we're not particularly close. I look forward to having less work and going about my days. But I soon realized I was too optimistic. Vivian, like her mother, does absolutely nothing. She lounges around all day, watching TV and snacking. She neither works nor does housework. Apparently, her neglect of household duties was a major reason for her divorce. Now, actually, I have to do all the chores, including making meals for her picky kids and getting them ready for kindergarten. As time passes, my job gets busier with a new project, requiring more overtime and early starts. The house becomes increasingly messy. Coming home to a cluttered house is utterly disappointing. And yet everyone keeps saying, "When's dinner?" Or "You're so slow." To make matters worse, I start getting passive-aggressive comments from Vivian and my mother-in-law. "Eleanor, the laundry is piling up. Just because you work doesn't mean you can slack off." But I'm busy too. As I try to argue, Vivian cuts in.
Talking back to your mother-in-law. You're so bold. Eleanor? And you've been buying all the meals. That's not good for the kids.
If you're home, can't you help out a bit?
What are you saying? Mauricio is a business owner. You don't have to work, but you're just doing it out of selfishness.
So fulfill your duties as a wife perfectly. I was speechless, and both of them looked at me as if it was all perfectly normal. That night, I was so angry I could explode, so I talked to Mauricio. "I'm busy with work, and neither your mom nor your sister is helping with the housework."
You're not bad mouthing my mom and sister, are you?
Mauricio glares at me. I replied in amazement. "No, that's not it. But I can't handle all the housework by myself. If you could help me a little."
I'm busy running a business. As was as Standy, you might not understand because you have an easy office job, but running a business is hard. Besides housework is a wife's job, isn't it? Yeah, so now. Don't expect me to do it.
Are you serious? Mauricio just goes to sleep, leaving me to stew in my thoughts. But then an idea comes to me. I came up with a good idea. I quickly grab my phone and make some online purchases before going to sleep. A few days later, a bunch of new appliances arrive. A drum washer-dryer, a cleaning robot, and kitchen appliances with automatic cooking functions. If no one's going to help me, I might as well make my chores easier with some handy gadgets. As the delivery guys are bringing in the washer, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law show up.
You bought a new washer without asking? That the old one still works.
But it's old and this will make laundry faster and easier.
What's all this? A cleaning robot and cooking appliances? Eleanor, come here.
I'm summoned to the living room where they're sitting on the sofa, and I'm told to sit on the floor. Mauricio is there too, sitting next to his mom, looking smug. What's going on?
What do you mean? What's going on? You buy all these lazy gadgets with the household money. What are you thinking?
I thought it would make housework more efficient.
It's not about efficiency. People these days rely too much on machines.
My sister-in-law chimes in. Exactly, Eleanor. And those are luxury items? The appliances we have are still usable. You're just being wasteful because Mauricio is a business owner.
Exactly, Eleanor. And those are luxury items. The appliances we hope are still usable. You're just being wasteful because Mauricio is a business owner.
She glares at me and Mauricio nods in agreement. But
You're just trying to make life easier for yourself. And you even do housework properly.
I wanted to say, look who's talking, but I kept quiet. Finally, my mother-in-law, perhaps frustrated by my silence, snaps.
If you can't even do housework properly, you should just leave.
I look at her in shock. She glares back at me.
We don't need you. Mauricio and I are fine without you. You always look so tired and miserable. You're just a parasite.
My sister-in-law spoke in a tone that suggested she was fed up.
Wait a minute. Maid show. Mom and sister are being way too harsh.
And when I turned to Mauricio for support, he looked down on me and said,
Oh, Desiree, I don't need a wife who can't handle housework.
I stared at Mauricio in disbelief, but he just smirked.
I'm a business owner, and I can do whatever I want with my money. I don't need a wife who spends it to make her life easier.
How would you say something like that?
Besides, I've been getting along well with the young part-time worker. She's cute, unlike you. Pack your bags and leave.
Stunned by Mauricio's words, all three began to berate me, calling me a failure of a wife. I clenched my fists in anger. After exploiting me all this time, they dare to say this. Just you wait, I'll make you regret this. But I kept my composure and said,
Fine, I'll leave.
Good, we'll be better off without you.
My mother-in-law spat out, and I silently stood up and placed something on the table.
Mauricio, let's get divorced.
It was a pre-filled divorce application. I had gotten it as a sort of talisman, tired of everything.
Fine, I'll sign it, but I'll regret it later.
Mauricio signed the papers, and I packed my bags and moved to a weekly apartment that same day. No one came to see me off. I submitted the divorce papers to the city hall and rented a condo. Much around the same time, I accepted a promotion I had been refusing due to housework and became a department head. The title increased by the rate table or common subtiri, what is able was given up on, and I became more and more immersed in my work. Thrilled that no one was there to hinder me. More than anything else, I was overjoyed. About a week after leaving, my former mother-in-law started calling. But I was busy and had no desire to talk to someone who had called me a worthless wife. A year later, on a day off, she called again. I was thinking it was time to settle things. I answered, "Hello." "Ah, Eleanor," you finally answered. "How could you ignore me for over a year? What do you want?"
Well, how are you doing? Are you okay? I'm doing great. I'm working hard in my own apartment. I've been promoted and my salary has increased. I'm living comfortably.
Is that so? Would you consider coming back?
Out for you now.
Her tone was almost pleading, and I asked, shivering.
You are in trouble. But running out of money.
I couldn't help but smirk as I responded.
Oh, Mauricio's shop isn't even making $1,000 profit, huh? So, I think... And neither you nor your daughter work, so that makes sense.
Eleanor, you knew. Yes, I knew. Mauricio's cafe was only making about $800 a month in profit. I was the one handling the finances, so of course, I knew. A CEO who acted like a big shot business owner, but didn't do any proper management or customer service, probably had no idea.
Of course I knew. I was the one doing all the accounting and inventory.
What? Why didn't you say something? I had no idea you were a manager at a big company and contributing so much to our living expenses.
And yes, I was putting in over $3,000 a month. That's how everyone was able to live.
I had been supplementing the family income with my own salary because I knew Mauricio's shop wasn't making much. Mauricio probably realized he couldn't make ends meet without my income only after I left. Please, Eleanor, come back.
By the way, what happened to Mauricio's shop? Aaron...
Ignoring my former mother-in-law's plea, I asked.
Mauricio's shop is going under next month. Even the part-time girl left him.
That figures. Him with such sloppy management, he can't keep a business running. And he's too proud to do what needs to be done. No woman would want to be with a man like that. I chuckled, and my former mother-in-law was at a loss for words.
Can you wrap this up? My Palmo. I'm busy.
She hurriedly continued.
Also, the house has been a mess since you left.
But mess.
According to her, the house was in chaos because no one was doing any housework. The house was cluttered. No one was cooking, so they had to buy food, and they couldn't even afford a new washing machine.
It would have been nice if you'd left those appliances.
Ex-mother-in-law says.
What are you talking about? What, those are lazy appliances? And what's wrong with taking things that I paid for?
I shouldn't have said that, but I never thought the house would become like this just because no one was doing the chores.
I asked, getting a bit irritated.
Oh, isn't it strange that 3 adults can't manage the housework? Oh, what are your daughter and Mauricio doing?
She lowered her voice.
Well, Mauricio is soaking at home all day, doing nothing since he found out his shop isn't making any money.
Oh, wait, really? He said he could do whatever he wanted with his money because he's a business owner.
And Vivian won't work, no matter how much I tell her. She doesn't do housework, and she even asks me for pocket money for herself and her kids. My pension is running out.
The daughter told me she didn't need me because she had you.
I said coldly. And my former mother-in-law tried to butter me up again.
Is it enough for the 3 of us anymore? Please. Eleanor, my pension isn't enough for the 3 of us anymore.
I've no intention of going back to that house, so... The children are quite the parasites, aren't they?
She was speechless. As I was about to hang up, she continued,
Eleanor will change our ways. Please come back. Let's all live happily together again, okay?
Have we the Safi with a Thamus wife?
I cut her off, and she stumbled over her words but continued to plead.
I'm sorry for what I said. We are family. Help us. We can't even pay the property taxes anymore. We'll have to sell the house.
I've neither the obligation nor the desire to help you. Figure it out yourselves. Goodbye from your worthless wife.
Ignoring her ongoing wails, I hung up and blocked her number. Sipping my coffee in my clean apartment, I chuckled. 3 months later, I happened to pass by Mauricio's cafe. It had become a vacant storefront. It seemed he really had gone out of business. Pati when their family home was listed as a sold. According to a former neighbor I ran into, the 3 of them had sold the house and fled, now living in a cramped apartment nearby. They were a constant neighborhood nuisance, always fighting and even stinking up the place. The complaints were piling up. But all they had to do was work hard and take care of their home without relying on others. But they didn't, which was so like them. I looked at their former home with detached eyes and walked away. At Setskindi, I'd been focusing on my work. Recently, a sincere and hardworking colleague confessed his feelings for me, saying, I love how dedicated you are to your work. We are dating with the intention of getting married. I don't think my next marriage is too far off. And this time, I'm looking forward to grabbing hold of happiness